Hello, everybody, and welcome to Absolutely. Today, it is myself, Dan, Sal, and Hassan is finally back from his vacation, and we are here to talk about some Easter eggs from the Spider-Verse across the Spider-Verse movie. These are the Easter eggs that are paired with the MCU, or essentially other Spider-Man entities, and the Easter eggs from the Spider-Verse movie. So, today's episode is sponsored by Into the AM. Use code absolutely when you go to Into the AM. Get incredibly soft shirts. They are fantastic. You can get, I believe, 10% off with our coupon. Definitely worth checking it out, guys. Link will be in the description down below. Now let's jump into this list. So the first one, this is one that I believe everyone, if you didn't catch this one, you weren't watching the movie. This was the reference to the No Way Home, where Miguel basically is like, don't even get me started on that nerd Peter Parker and Doctor Strange on Earth 19999999.
That's right.
Yeah.
That was in the trailer. So
Yeah.
it's like, even if you didn't see the movie, you still got the reference.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
I also think what they're doing is that there are two multiverses. They're just two versions of the MCU. Like, that's the best way to make it because, and in the MCU, they think that they're designated as Earth 616. So in the MCU multiverse, they are 616. In the comic book / Spider-Verse, which it's not the comic book because the comic books have their own Spider-Verse. So in the Sony animated stuff, it's different. And I think that works way better because obviously we go to Venom in this movie too. So
Yeah. I think it's more like that they just have two different ways of measuring the multiverse. Like there's no like meeting that Miguel has with like the time variance authority. So they're like, what number do you have for the cowboy universe? Like just we call your universe 199999. You call universe 616. And you also have random people who make up that number by accident. So, like, you clearly have less of a handle on this thing than we do. Plus, the comic books say that the MCU is 1999. So, like, I look at it the way the Spider-Verse is more accurate.
Yeah.
Like, they actually have real numerical designations for these things that make sense.
I agree because obviously they're traversing the multiverse. They have machines and a fancy AI lady. So
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Yeah.
But I think that the way that it's set up right now, it's two separate multiverses where like similar, like there is a Miguel, whatever, and the MCU is multiverse too. But I don't think the MCU is going to reference Spider-Verse the way Spider-Verse references the MCU. Because I think that in live action, they want to do this again, basically, right? Like they want their own live action Into the Spider-Verse across the Spider-Verse movie. You can't do that if you've already done it. Like the same way, like comic books are not in continuity with this movie at all because we've had Spider-Man. We've had PS4 Spider-Man play an integral role in Spider-Apocalypse, I think, where he like had probably one of the most badass moments where Superior Spider-Man betrays him and he's like getting betrayed by another Doc Ock. And it's this wonderful scene that's powerful and moving. And he's like, hey, I think I got to remember this design for my Miles. And then in the actual universe, his own Miles makes the suit on his own and he like doesn't know. So my brain is that like, as much as I want it to all actually be interconnected continuity, it is that, but there's like a couple of them. Yeah. So that's my take on it, but the designations don't matter at all.
No.
So the funny thing about this, it's not in the specific article that I linked to you to, but I found it in another one where apparently they did not get permission to do the Earth 199999 reference. And in a quote that I read, I wish I could find the article, but they were basically like, yeah, we did it and just figured, you know what, we'll let the lawyers handle this.
No way.
Well, it's cute because the young lady who plays Ms. Marvel is also on the same page as the Spider People because she was like, no, 616 is the main comic book universe. 199999 is the MCU universe.
Kamala Khan went off about it. Okay, Iman Vellani was not standing for Kevin Feige's silliness.
Exactly. Well, because they don't care. Like the thing about even the thing about the multiverse is that like Sony and Marvel aren't thinking about it. You know, they're like, and the problem is, we're divorcing yourself from like 20 years ago. The studios were like, yeah, make a reference. I don't care. But now they're like, the references are so intricate and integral that they have to work it out. But you know that none of them got into this business to do that crap.
Right.
So they just don't. They're like, well, okay. So like, it actually hurts me to have to do it. That's how little I'm going to do it. So no. And so, yeah, if you think about it, you're like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, don't get into an argument over this with anybody, ladies and gentlemen, because I promise you, your masters don't care.
Yeah, exactly. And they, regardless, it's really cool to have that reference.
It's fun.
I will say, was Tom not in this at all?
No.
He's the only one that wasn't in it. We had all of them. Oh,
it was the only, because he's like the Marvel one where we got most of the SSU Spider-Man, the Sony Spider-Verse universe.
I think you can see him. I think he's in like the montage of deaths. I don't remember.
I don't know if he was, because I looked for him in that.
Yeah.
Because I specifically, because I saw, Toby pretty quickly. You see Andrew. Andrew has like a silhouetted rotoscope scheme they cut out of the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which I have a theory about that too. It's like for animation work. I actually think that they rotoscoped Garfield and then they made all the animation versions, because they can't like redo his body, because like it's the younger him for sure from the first Amazing Spider-Man movie where he's holding Captain Stacy. But I think that they took that shot, rotoscoped it, and then they animated all the other ones after the fact. Like that's the physical.
Interesting.
But yeah, who cares about the multiverse, man?
Yeah.
I like it, but I don't care for it.
Right?
Keeping up with the multiverse, the second Easter egg that we had was the sacred timeline. There is a part where Miguel is going through the different, basically explaining the Spider-Verse, and they show the fractured sacred timeline from the Loki show. This was probably the biggest actual reference to the MCU that they did during this movie.
Yes, but it's like it's moved, right? Because like the way the Loki show is, it's horizontal, but in the Spider-Verse it's vertical, so it looks like more like a tree.
Yeah.
If you align them, you're like, oh, you're just looking at it from a different angle, which I love, because also got Spider-Man thing in it, because Spider-Man always looks at things from different angles. Haha.
Right.
But like good stuff. Like I was like, that was the thing where I went, wow, you actually cared enough to make the timeline / multiverse look the same. I was really not expecting that.
Yeah, I thought that one was good, because I feel like showing respect to the other multiverses and the different timelines and stuff, and like doing it very properly and not like making fun of it. It opens up so many doors to that multiverse of, hey, I'm going to make my multiverse, and as long as you respect my multiverse and your multiverse, who cares? We're on different universes.
Yeah.
Right. Well, like, and we can be in the same multiverse together, but we don't actually have to like send lawyers to work anything out. Like, it's just, we can all just say we're part of the same thing, and it won't be an awkward conversation later. We could just say, yeah, no, we're in there.
Yeah, we just need to find some MacGuffin device to say our thing that lets us traverse the multiverse can't do specific worlds. And it's always something like that, so that you're only traveling along the worlds that make sense for the story at hand.
Yeah,
and you can't chime into the Spider-Verse world or whatever you need.
Well, people talk about the glitching thing, right? They're like, well, if that were the case, if they were the same multiverse, how come
they weren't glitching when they were in the main MCU world?
They're two different movies. They're made by two different studios. That's why.
Yeah. And one was the live action hoorah that Marvel put all their chips into and proceeded to not make anything else of quality for 2 years after the fact. So,
oops.
Oh, sorry, guys. That's my bad. Personal opinion, obviously.
Oh, was that your opinion? I had no idea since you came out of your mouth.
Well, you often have to clarify it, because
I know
the
you do.
distinction is that it is me speaking for humanity.
Right. Yeah.
Guys,
no, normally
fact,
when I say things that are completely subjective, people automatically assume that I'm saying that, like, no, you, me, and the world agree that this is
I'm
the
not
case.
really allowed to speak for humanity as much as I'd like to be the mouthpiece.
Seriously, no.
I'm a regular guy, not a god.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's a long life. Dan, does your list have anything about the Spectacular Spider-Man? Because I'd like to talk about that if we.
You know what? Why don't you bring the one number?
So my friend that I adore, I watched Spectacular Spider-Man for the very first time, I think a year and some change ago, off Sal's recommendation, actually, because I just hadn't gotten around to it, which is ridiculous because I'm the biggest Young Justice fan that has ever existed, and Greg Weisman wrote it. And oh my God, is Spectacular Spider-Man not telling one of the definitive Spider-Man stories? I have one singular gripe with that show. They make Kraven a weird animal mutant. Other than that singular gripe, wow, it's this like really fully fulfilled, fleshed out Spider-Man world. and my friend Josh Keaton voices Spider-Man in that, so I'm biased there too. But it's super cool. And Dan, you can hate me for the name drop, but I was texting him about it last night because I finally got to see the movie. He got to be a pretty big part of this
He's
movie.
in it. Like, he's physically in it. No, I know.
It's physically in it. He gets a speaking line in it. Like, he's like Yuri Lowenthal was more of like a slapstick cameo as PS4 Spider-Man. And I thought he would get like substantial things to do.
Same.
But he gets to, in the show, we never lose Captain Stacy. We get to see Captain Stacy die in the like Spectacular Spider-Man art style.
Yeah.
And you know that in his continuity, he died. And I think that's really cool. Also, he's short, and that's kind of adorable, and I love it.
Also, really quick, regarding that, I understand that apparently the people who are working on the Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon show also worked on this movie. Apparently there was some kind of link where it was like the art director or something was like, oh, I used to work on Spectacular. So I just said, hey, can we put Spectacular Spider-Man in here? And they were like, yeah, go ahead.
That's awesome.
So great.
Also, Josh Keaton originally voiced Spider-Man in the Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is the single greatest Marvel animated adaptation.
Oh my God, they did.
And so hashtag release the Keaton cut, please.
Yeah. You guys, it's ridiculous. So he voiced Peter Parker all the way through that. And it was, in fact, the last thing he was going to get to do as Spider-Man because Disney bought it. Logistics, that show is tied up in a very weird rights situation. Disney and Marvel own all the rights to animate Spider-Man. This is a property owned by Sony. So there has to be like a new sharing agreement made to ever re-release this or to come back to it. So it's very litigated and tied up. So the last thing Josh Keaton gets to do is voice Spider-Man. Well, he gets ready to watch this thing that he voiced months and months and months and months ago. And it's freaking Drake Bell redubbing his lines with his inflections because they animated it based off of Josh Keaton's voice. So Drake Bell, while having his own Spider-Man cadence, which sucks.
It's terrible.
It's so bad. They have him doing Josh Keaton's Spider-Man voice, and it's heartbreaking. It is so frustrating. I saw Josh talk about it, and it like took me back. I was like, this sucks.
And now that we know that Drake Bell sucks, it's like, hey, just remove him. If you can remove Louis C.K. from episodes of Gravity Falls, then you can remove Drake Bell from Ultimate Spider-Man.
Oh,
I didn't know. That's
well, and here's the thing. Ultimate Spider-Man had one incredible scene, but it didn't have anything to do with Drake Bell. It had to do with the fact that we had the very first time Miles Morales was ever animated in that show and voiced by Donald Glover. And it's really cool. Honestly, it's like, I'm surprised they haven't gotten him to voice Miles Morales again because he like did a voice for it. Like he wasn't just like, okay, I'm Donald Glover. Hey, I'm Miles Morales.
No,
he was like
young. Like he pulled his voice
like,
back. It was
hey,
nice.
wait, I'm Miles Morales. I'm the only Peter. Or wait, if you're Peter Parker and I'm like you, am I dead? Wait, no, then we're both dead. Wait, we can't be dead. And it's like this really well done young voice, which for those of you who don't know, Donald Glover is the reason Miles exists. Period, point blank, 100%. That when Andrew Garfield, right before he was cast, there was this Twitter campaign to make Donald Glover Spider-Man. In the show community, he put on a Spider-Man t-shirt, and that ramped everything up. And then Brian Michael Bendis, in his, I guess at the time, Infinite Wisdom. Now I don't know what he's doing. But at the time, Infinite Wisdom, he was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to make that. I'm going to make the Black Spider-Man. And then he made Miles Morales. And then he got to be Miles' very first voice. He got to play Aaron Davis in the MCU. And wow, does this tie us back to our video at hand? Because guess what? Live action Prowler, played by Donald Glover, was in this film, which was so cool.
That was actually the next one on my list. So I was so glad that you brought him up because yes, so Donald Glover, for those that weren't aware, in the very first Spider-Man Homecoming film, Donald Glover showed up as Aaron Davis. And so in this one, he was captured in the full Prowler costume and was just put in there. And I loved that they just kept him live action, just sitting there like, just what the hell's going on? Just surrounded by cartoons and everything like that.
Yeah.
I thought that was great. I always enjoy when like multiverse animated things include live action, but don't try and change it into like an animated, try and make it good, but just legitimately keep them as a live action person in this animated world.
Dude, the Who Framed Roger Rabbit ass moment where Spot talks to the woman who runs the convenience store, and and fucking, and I don't like the Sony stuff, Man, that was funny. I appreciate it. This is also Venom is now the most tied together, well integrated Sony project because it's in the MCU, it's in the Sony animated universe, and it's in its own self-contained all that universe. So
yep. Yeah, Venom has traveled now between 3 different universes.
Yeah.
Or
Even if one was just to awkwardly lick a TV, you know.
That was a suspicious moment. Yeah,
it was very suspicious.
Weird.
I think Donald Glover looked really good in that suit, and it's a crappy suit. Like it's a really bad. We put it together.
They clearly slapped together. There's a behind-the-scenes photo of it, and it's like
terrible looking.
But it looks great when he's crouched down, and you don't really get to see it.
And it's like lightly animated over. Like there's
really
things
nice.
going on.
All right, that's
and
fine.
He looked good, man. I
he
also
did.
like the Prowler. I think during it's after Superior Spider-Man. It's during like Parker Industries run, but like Peter is being the CEO, so he has the Prowler being Spider-Man to take his place, like because it's his security guard or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it'd be so cool to have Donald Glover wearing like Peter Parker's suit at some point. Like I want to see it so badly. I think that'd be great. I watched on my flight back. I rewatched Spider-Man: Homecoming for the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, and it's really good. And I think that there are things about it that I like more. I think it made me like Zendaya's role in these movies less significantly because wow, did they not tee this up?
No,
they did not tee that. There was no intention of that relationship until they're like, well, Zendaya sells seats, which is like you're making Spider-Man. Seats are sold. It's okay.
Exactly. No, they're talking about it now with like Spider-Man 4. They're like, well, how are we gonna like? They're like, well, Tom Holland and Zendaya Spider-Man 4. I'm like, no, Zendaya's out. She's done. She doesn't remember. She's in another. Spider-Man, like one of the like third of the character is him with different relationships, right? Like we could do that.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Anyway, moving on.
No. I'm with it. I don't think that's like it's not an angry discussion because I do like Zendaya. I think she did well by No Way Home. She's a great love interest.
Yes.
A great one. One that I desperately want. Let's just go away for a little bit.
It's tragic. Oh no.
Oh, it's so tragic. And I want it to be so sad. And then I want him to date Black Cat.
Yes.
I want it to be this begrudging dynamic. And then, before it can get anywhere too far, Mary Jane is back. And I'm okay with that. Okay. Yeah. And then Ned Leeds is back. And he's yoked now. What's happening with him?
He's yoked. He's a hobgoblin now. We'll see.
Who cares? But seriously,
I don't care.
I couldn't care less. I'm disappointed that she's going to be back. But also it's like Tom Holland is dating Zendaya. And these movies take months and months to make. Obviously, that 2 actors and like playing it, they're not going to be they're going to be like, oh yeah, I'd love it if my significant other was on screen for me. Like I want to serve as a character, but I also want to smush. I don't know, man. Like
exactly.
I want to be on set. Yeah. I just went with the Brooklyn Nine-Nine term for sex.
Yeah.
Smushing from the Pontiac Bandit.
Is that a new term now? It's like
no. That's a reference to Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yeah, nice.
Craig Robinson's character, the Pontiac Bandit. He always refers to it as smushing.
Oh, such a great character.
Yeah.
Great.
All right. So moving on the Easter egg list, we'll go into basically the multiversal god in the Spider-Man universe of all the different universes of J. Jonah Jameson in every iteration is voiced by J.K. Simmons.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah,
Every
single
like
iteration.
They used a soundbite from Spider-Man 1 in the Lego sequence. It's him and everything.
Oh, okay. Actually,
we should talk
I'm
about
glad
that
you referenced that one.
Okay.
That was apparently, I believe, like a
14-year-old
contest winner, like a 14-year-old.
Not a contest winner. Not a contest winner.
It wasn't a contest.
So
it was just
recreated the whole Spider-Verse trailer on his own in Legos and animated, put it on YouTube and went viral. And then they contacted his parents. He's a 14-year-old kid. And then he animated a 20-second sequence in that movie.
Awesome.
And it's so
one
funny.
of the best sequences.
Yeah. Well, the best sequence because like Miguel hates all the Peter Parkers, doesn't respect him. And then there's the Lego one where he's like, thank you so much. I appreciate your help.
You're the best we've got.
You're the best we got. Oh my God. But it's a 14-year-old made that in between doing homework.
Right?
Yeah.
What do we
That's
do with
awesome.
our lives, guys? Come on.
Not that.
We're not the most talented bunch by comparison.
No way.
New generation's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was great though that J.K. Simmons is the voice of J. Jonah Jameson in every iteration, just because it was great because everyone loved him, obviously, in the Tobey Maguire ones. And then every single other time we got him, everyone would be so hyped. Like in the end of
Far From Home.
Far From Home. Thank you.
Was
Everyone
crazy.
Was like,
Everyone
oh
was
my God, it's J.K. Simmons.
God, that takes me back to when the MCU was like in its golden era of like you'd go and cheer at a movie theater. I know some people, they snap at me in comments, you want to cheer with people at a theater? I want to be in this bombastic, emotional moment with everybody. And when we saw J. Jonah Jameson, everyone was like, whoa! And then at the end, he goes, and this is Spider-Man. And then it's Tom Holland. What the fuck? One of my favorite moments in like the whole theater was so excited and jumping up and down. I think I saw that movie twice that day.
Yeah.
So great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else you got for us, Dan?
Well, the final one on the list is not an MCU Easter egg, but it is just the scenes that they used from the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire footage of the different deaths and the different scenes. Because obviously we got Andrew holding Captain Stacy, and then we had Toby and Uncle Ben dead on the side of the road. But
sad.
I thought that was I really enjoyed seeing those two. Like it was one of those moments where you saw it and you're like, oh my God, it's the thing. You feel like the Leonardo DiCaprio. It's the thing.
Yeah. Oh, I know what that is. Yeah.
I heard they did film a lengthy live action segment and it just felt so gimmicky and they cut it.
Oh, did they?
I don't know if they filmed it with them. Like, I don't know if it was with Toby and
Probably
Andrew.
not.
Maybe. I would say if they were going to do that, they were probably going to get body doubles for physical filming and ask them to do voices. Like, I don't think they could even do it. I think that would serve the story better. Or they
shot it, like, on the set of No Way Home.
Yeah, I mean, they've been working on this for a while. You know what's very weird about this? Haley Steinfeld said she has not done lines for Across the Spider-Verse, and she was doing lines up until 2 weeks before the premiere for Across. So they haven't done anything for Beyond yet.
Yeah, I know.
We're not getting that movie till in March. There's no way.
We're not getting that until 2025.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I would love if this was a situation where they had like everything prepped and prepared, but they didn't give it out so that there was no chance of a leak. But they have everything prepped and then they're just going to go for it because they did already, like before now, they had announced that it was a two-parter. They were aware of that. They already moved the dates and stuff. So I would not be surprised if they have stuff there.
They can have physical action scenes done. They cannot have dialogue done because generally speaking, especially animation as hyper stylized as this, they let the voice actor go first and they match it to that versus like an American dub of an anime where they're basically matching the Japanese lip flap. So while the word would be bombastic, they need to be like, boom. They just have to say whatever fits in the lip flap of that.
Exactly.
So I would be shocked if they weren't able to, because like, look at the way Gwen is animated. I'd be shocked if they weren't motion tracking Haley Steinfeld's face for a lot of that too.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of like physical movement that goes along with it. Like,
I agree.
Jason Spizak, he voices Wally West in Young Justice. He voiced Scorpion in the Spider-Man game. And I think like the Joker recently in like Hush or whatever. He was telling me that he did some physical stuff, maybe not for this movie, but maybe for Beyond. I know something coming up he's done, like he had to go back to LA to film a bunch of mocap for that. So it's becoming really prominent that the voice actors do the mocap of everything to line up with the character.
Interesting.
Just, I'm shocked because for her not to have filmed yet, I imagine she wouldn't be in like 3/4 of the or 2/3 of the movie.
That's true.
But she has to be. She's Gwen.
Right?
I don't know.
I mean,
I did name drop again, chat. What do you want about it? I'm friends with voice actors, and I like talking about them because they're wonderful, and they don't get anywhere near enough praise. People don't talk about their names enough. Voice actors are incredible. And that's my excuse for name dropping.
All right. Well, that's going to go ahead and conclude the episode here. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Across the Spider-Verse, definitely go check it out. It's in my top list of favorite Spider-Man films. I'm sure I'm not alone in thinking that.
Number 3 for me.
Number 3. Interesting. Yeah. What's your number 1 and number 2? Just out of curiosity.
And this is controversial, and I know people don't agree with it. No Way Home, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse. That's my trade.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, I'm Dan. That's Hassan. That's Sal. Be sure to check out Into the AM. Use code ABSOLUTELY. Everything will be in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for listening and watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Peace out.